So welcome to part 2 of the multiplication principle. We'll kind of continue on with what we've been doing. A couple more problems and finish this up. So looking at this first one here, we have 4/5 x equals 16. And 4/5 x means 4/5 times x. So classically, how we undo multiplications with division. So we're going to divide by 4/5, divide by 4/5. Now, when you divide by a fraction, you end up really multiplying by the reciprocal. So really, I don't like the idea of dividing by 4/5. In fact, I would erase that and be like, well, if we divide by a fraction, we're really multiplying by the reciprocal. So why don't we circumvent that first step and go to right to multiplying by the reciprocal? So this reciprocal of 4/5 is 5/4. So if we multiply one side by that, I'm going to say 16 is 16 over 1. Multiply by 5/4. Now we're in good luck. We're in good shape because notice the 5's cancel, the 4's cross cancel, leaving us with just x. Now we can do the same over here. This 4 cancels to a 1 and goes into that 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20, divided by 1 is 20, so the answer right there is 20. And once again, we can check our answer by plugging this back into the original equation. 4/5 times 20 equals 16. Well, 5 goes into 20 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16, so we're looking good on that one there. So doing the same thing over here, notice, like, really this negative m over 3 could be thought of as a negative 1/3 m equals 1/5. And once again, you know, if we were undoing our division here, this dividing by negative 3, we'd multiply by negative 3, which is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal of this fraction. So let's do that. If we multiply by the reciprocal of negative 1/3, negative 3 over 1. It's a weird 1, but that's a 1. We're going to do the same thing to this side, so negative 3 over 1. Negative times negative is a positive. 3 cancels with 3, the 1 cancels with the 1, leaving us with just an m. Over here, negative times positive is a negative, so we have a negative. No cross cancellation can happen, so we multiply straight across, and we get 3/5, and this is the answer. Now, checking this, we plug this back into the original equation. Plugging that in from negative 3/5 divided by 3 equals 1/5. Now, when we're going through this, we want to think about the order of operations. We have 3/5 divided by 3. That 3 I'm going to call a 3 over 1, because it is. We can write any number over 1 if it is that. So once again, if we're dividing, well, first thing I noticed is this. We have two negatives. A negative times a negative, those cancel out. If we're dividing a fraction by a fraction, we multiply the numerator by the reciprocal of the denominator. So you have 3/5. The reciprocal of 3 over 1 is 1 over 3. That's supposed to equal 1/5. Looks like the 3's cancel, leaving us with our 1/5, and we're good. So moving down to this next one here, notice we have negative 3/5 r equals 9/10. We could divide by the negative 3/5, but it makes more sense to me just to multiply by the reciprocal. Negative 5/3. Do this, negative 5/3. Negative times negative on the left. So these 5's cancel, the 3's cancel, negative and negative cancels, giving us an r. Negative times positive is a negative, so we'll leave a negative there. Cancel the 5 there and get a 1. Get a 2 there. Cancel the 3 there and there. Get a 3 and a 1. So we brought down our negative sign already, and I generally do that in the beginning so I don't forget about it. Classically, students lose lots of points on this negative positive issue, so I want to make sure that we're getting that squared away. We've done all our reduction and cancellation, so all we have to do is multiply straight across. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. And that's the answer we're looking for. So to check the answer, we're going to plug this back in. Negative 3/5 times negative 3/2 equals 9/10. Negative times negative is a positive. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 5 is 10. We're looking good. So here, you know, we're going to do a little bit of division by decimals. And because you can use a calculator, this doesn't seem to be a very big deal with students. When you didn't have calculators, there was a little bit of apprehension with this. Just make sure you're putting your decimals in right in your calculator. So 6.3x is 6.3 times x, so we're going to divide by 6.3 to isolate x, but whatever we do to one side, we do to the other side. Divide both of them by 6.3. 6.3 divided by 6.3 is just going to give us 1 or 1x. And then if we have 44.1 divided by 6.3 is going to be 7. Okay? So we got that. Check this by plugging back in. 6.3 times 7 equals 44.1. Seems like a problem for the calculator. Plug this in, and you'll notice you do get 44.1. So it checks out. Okay. So winding up finishing these last two, on the first one again, you want to think, what are we going to do here? Well, we're trying to isolate this y, so we're going to have to divide by the coefficient of y, negative 3.3. Whatever we do to one side, we do to the other, so divide by negative 3.3. Those cancel, leaving us with y. Negative, positive divided by negative is a negative, and then 3.3 goes into 9.9 3 times. So we get negative 3. That's our answer. Plugging it back in. Negative 3.3 times 3 equals 9.9. And we're good there. And that does check out. So then the last one here is just going to be this. If we have a negative x over 5, once again we can think about that as a negative 1/5 x, or negative 1/5 times x, because x is really x over 1. So when you multiply straight across, it does actually equal that. Equals 10. And when we're multiplying by this fraction here, the way we'd undo it is division, but we now know that we can just multiply by the reciprocal. Negative 5 over 1. Negative 5 over 1. The 5's cancel, the 1's cancel, the negatives cancel. X divided by 1 is just x. Over here, 10 is really 10 over 1. No cancellation in a crosswise sense. So we multiply straight across. Negative 5 times 10 is negative 50. Divided by 1 is negative 50. That's our answer. And then to check this, excuse me, we just plug it back in. Negative 50 divided by 5 equals 10. Well, negative and negative is a positive. 50 divided by 5 is 10. So we're good. So see you next time for 2.3. It's using principle together. We're going to use the addition and multiplication principles together to solve more complex problems.